eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this.
We're getting closer to his return, and the closer we get to him, the faster things are going to happen. The faster the healings, the faster the deliverance, the faster.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, yes, boys and girls, well, welcome to Crypto 7, your bull market channel. And I'm quite busy with things in real life, so I thought I'd get a chance to stream. I would stream. Somebody just pointed out that RH Max has got the Hex conference going. Not intending to stream over him. I forgot about that. So, you know, we can't have too many conferences, and do watch that as well and things. So that's fantastic. And I hope you all watched the PulseChain conference, all 3 days of the PulseChain conference. I did say, didn't I? If we have a dip and you didn't watch all 3 days of the PulseChain conference, then you can't complain to me about the prices. But no, I thought I would stream with you guys and share my thoughts on this bull market. And as we go along in this bull market, it's revealing more and more things to me as we go along. And something I think it's revealed to me over the last couple of days is that there's just far too many people convinced that the cycle is going to top in between September and November. Absolutely convinced of it. Everyone's convinced of it. And so everyone wants to get out now, next month. And I think that the market never gives everyone what they want. Very few people thought that the 4-year cycle would play out in the exact symmetry that it did in the one before. And because very few people thought that we were going to top when we did top, everyone thought we were going to 100K. Everyone thought that the bull market was going to continue on longer. I think that this time round, everyone thinks we're topping in September to November. And therefore, the only dates I'm sure that we're not going to top is between September and November. I was watching Coin Bureau, who I think are the biggest channel in the world, Coin Bureau. And they smugly, glibly announced that they are 100% certain. With 100% certainty, they said the top is going to be in between September and November. This is their last video, I think. I don't watch them very often, but I was watching to see what they had to say. And safe from their posh Dubai residences, and having cashed out while safely in Dubai and things, they are very happy to announce that the bull market is going to end soon, and it will end between September and November. Well, I'm sorry, but, you know, these are the guys that get all the views. This is what everyone's hearing. So if everyone thinks the bull market is going to end between September and November, everyone in crypto, that is, and yet we know that we are just a product of what goes on in the wider markets. We know that we are just an extension of the wider markets, just as the little bird is just an extension of the buffalo that it sits on. You know, we are just a small part of a bigger cog. And what you tend to find in crypto is that, and perhaps, no, I think everyone does that. I was going to say maybe it's just something the big channels do because they become a bit egotistical and they start to feel a bit self-important, but I think we all do it. Is what we do in crypto is we like to just take a myopic look, just a very sort of self-centered look at ourselves, and we don't factor that actually we are just a tiny little thing which is massively influenced by bigger things, which is in particular NASDAQ and things like that. And so I've been listening while doing various things today. I've been listening to other big channels and other channels, I should say, because I'm not a big channel, but I've been listening to the big channels and things, and it is quite funny because you can get sort of 30 minutes into a video or a stream and they still haven't mentioned that NASDAQ had a really bad day today. And so they're talking about whether they think the crypto market's topped or not, and whether Bitcoin's topped or not. And they still haven't mentioned 40 minutes in, 50 minutes in, they still haven't mentioned that NASDAQ's down a lot. And so when NASDAQ's down a lot, we know, because you subscribe to Crypto 7, we know that if NASDAQ's down a lot, we're going to be down even more. 9 times out of 10 at least. And if Nasdaq's up a lot, then a lot of the time we're up even more. Probably 7 times out of 10. I don't know, but it depends where you are in the cycle and things. Sometimes 10 out of 10 times. If Nasdaq's up a lot, we're up even more. But because we're like a leverage play on Nasdaq, so it does amaze me. And then they refer to the 4-year cycle, and I think, well, hang on a minute, guys. Or they'll talk about the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum and things, and they're not even mentioning that Nasdaq's down. That's why we're down. So yesterday we mentioned that Nasdaq had a fractionally green day, which was very bullish, really, considering there's so much going on, in terms of various FUD and unrest and uncertainty in the geopolitical and all that. So I was quite impressed that Nasdaq had a slightly green day yesterday. Wasn't expecting it. And I think that's why we started to see a little bit of a recovery yesterday. But then today Nasdaq had a bad day because there was some economic data came in, stock markets and things. By the way, super chats are enabled, and if you do appreciate me finding time to stream with you, I would appreciate it if people wanted to just buy me a drink at the bar, as I say. It is appreciated. So streaming, squeezing in a stream because I'm flat out preparing for Chepstow. It's Abby's first international event in a couple of days, and so I'm flat out with that, so not able to stream as much. I might try and stream from Chepstow, but I probably won't be able to stream during the day tomorrow. So, you have to catch me when you can get me, and that's why I'm streaming. And certainly not intending to overlap anyone. And I like that there's lots of conferences going. I hope those guys said nice things about Matty's efforts, and I'm quite happy to see. I can't get too many conferences, promoting our bags. That's what we're about, isn't it, guys? Let's hook up with a few people before we carry on with the presentation. So in this stream, we're going to be talking about the bull market. A lot of channels are sort of spending a lot of airtime whilst all this retail has come in to ponder whether or not the bull market's still on, and then discuss whether they think that we're going to top in September or October, November, because apparently it's got to be in that range. Well, that tells me it's definitely not going to be in that range. I don't see eye to eye on everything with your friend Somi, but that's something I do agree with him on. If everyone's convinced that the bull market's going to end between September and November, if Coin Bureau are smugly from their palatial Dubai residences saying that the bull market's going to finish sometime between next month and November, then I can promise you it's not. I can guarantee you it's not. So as we go into this bull market, it's revealing little more things to Crypto 7. Somebody said in my last stream, the one before, this guy's really full of himself, but he knows his stuff. And I was like, his analysis is second to none, he said. I thought that was hilarious. So, that's my claim to fame. I like it. It's good. And, that's fine. That's how I am, as a person. I'm confident, and I'm sharing my knowledge with you late on a Tuesday evening. And if you appreciate that, those super chats are enabled, guys. Who was first in the house today? It was Check My Pulse. Who else have we got? Great. Check My Pulse is excited that we're streaming. I'm pretty sure. Appreciate the positivity, buddy. And let's see more of that, guys. Crypto Mike, he's another very positive guy. Always in with the positive comments. Crypto Mike says, smash the likes and share on X, guys. Yes. Or go over and watch the Hex conference. I'm more than happy if you want to do that, particularly if you were thinking of investing. If you were looking at buying, go and watch RH Max's conference. But if you want to hear about whether I think that the bull market is in, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure we haven't topped. It's interestingly, guys, because here's something you won't hear anyone else saying, and I know I'm right about this. because everybody says that we're going to top between September and November this year, guess what? I can guarantee you we're not, right? Which means we're either going to top now. We have topped, yeah, because we're in late August, unless we can have like an explosive move next week, and then, you know, so we either top in August or December. We can't go before August because we're in August, but it could be December or January or February or March. You get the idea. It has to be that way. It has to be that way. Makes a lot of sense. Now look, I was in the same camp as everyone else. I get the logic, and there's a lot of clever people invested in Hex and PulseChain. A lot of clever people, you know, have suffered in 2022 with me, have suffered in 2023 with me, have suffered in 2024 with me. I get the logic. Look, it always seems to be playing out this 4-year cycle, so I'm not going to risk the biscuit. This time I'm going to sell in September because then I know I'm safe. I'm going to sell in August. I'm going to sell in September. You know, I'm going to definitely sell by October. I'm not going to be hanging around. We said on Crypto 7, I think it's good. Who wants that t-shirt? I didn't just round trip in 21. I round tripped in 25. Imagine having that t-shirt. It's bad enough. It's bad enough. A lot of us have got the I round tripped in 21 t-shirt. But it's because we round tripped in 21 that we have almost like a mental block about the possibility of having that t-shirt. Round trip 21, then round trip 25. Saw life-changing gains in 21. I don't know how you squeeze out on a t-shirt, but you get my ideas, guys. Smash up the likes. Round trip 21, then round trip 25 as well. Saw life-changing gains in 21, did nothing about it. Saw life-changing gains in 25, did nothing about it. Be hilarious. Of course, this is the mental block. This is the problem, and this is why it's not going to be that way. Because everyone's onto this. You know, I thought you were the only one, you know. I even fast forward. Another thing that I say is that if you watch shows like Crypto 7, you know that Q1 of the post-halving years is always green. Always. January, February, March, green. So I thought, okay, fantastic. Because we were already quite high up in December, weren't we, of course? Remember December and January? Bitcoin was over 100,000. Ethereum was about the price it is now. And we were going into Q1, which is always green. So all the big channels told us it was definitely going to be green, yeah? Like we're definitely going to top in September to November. I'm on fire now. If at any point you're getting value, smash up the likes, put a super chat in, show your appreciation, all that sort of good stuff. So all the channels told you we were definitely going to be green in Q1, right? Now, I know what they were thinking because it was what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, so my Ethereum's already up to 4,000. I bought some more at 900. It's up to 4,000. That's good. Bitcoin's at 100,000 or whatever it was in December, January, something like that, wasn't it? Now we're going to have 3 explosive green months because we always have a green Q1 post-halving year. And all the channels have told me we're going to have a green Q1, yeah? So I thought, fantastic. Don't tell anyone, but I thought, I'm going to take some off the table. I'll be taking some off the table. Then I'm going to be able to just work on my 6-pack and start getting ready for Dubai or Monaco or Portugal or wherever I want to go. Whatever place this wealthy crypto bro is going to be treated nicely. I thought I'll be all stress-free, less grey hairs. It'll be all nice. I can start planning my retirement. That's what I was thinking. That's what everyone was thinking. What did we get? We got a red January, a red February, and a red March. Now, months later, and this is the other really curious thing. I think that guy was right. I think I am full of myself, but I think my analysis is second to none. Months and months later, everyone's talking about how September is typically red, without mentioning that we were completely thrown in January and February and March. Everyone's talking about how the cycle's going to end exactly when it ended 4 years ago, without mentioning that we've seen a lot of massive inconsistencies in this cycle. So for me, guys, for instance, right, the fact that we should have been green in January, green in February, green in March suggests to me that we were held back in January, February, March, and that likely the cycle has been delayed, the bull market has been delayed by at least 3 months, So that means instead of topping in September or November, we will top in December to February, because we've been pushed 3 months. We were pushed by the tariffs, we were pushed by Jerome Powell and other things. Everything has taken longer to warm up, whether it's the quantitative easing, whether it's less of the relentless tariff talk and that sort of good stuff. You know, we didn't get peace in Ukraine in 24 hours as Trump promised us. It's taken a bit longer than that, hasn't it? Everything's taken longer. I mean, that's before you even get, as I've said before, you know, if we're saying that we're topping now, it means that we're saying that BlackRock made the top. It means we're saying that Grayscale made the top. It means we're saying Fidelity made the top. All that sort of stuff. All these banks made the top. It's possible, but I think it's highly, highly unlikely, particularly as they can decide when the top comes in. But as I say, everyone's missing the point. And I think it's very stupid to be talking about how the crypto market's gone down without referencing first and foremost, and really there's no more to it than that. And we can see it up on screen right now, guys, that NASDAQ had a bad day today, 1.5% down. 1.5% down. And you see how it bled down during the course of the day. And of course, did you see how that's what crypto did? It quite amazes me that a lot of channels were live today barely mentioned this at all. If they did, it was in a fleeting little reference. It's something on stock markets are down as well. No. It's not, and the stock markets are down as well. It's the stock markets had a really bad day today. That's the headline news. And so obviously and inevitably, crypto did as well. So what do you think happens if we have a really good day in the stock markets tomorrow? Well, thanks for asking. I'll tell you. If we have a really good day in the stock markets tomorrow, then crypto will have an even better day. The question is, are we going to? Well, that of course is if you once you realize that actually, you know, as I've said this many times, it's really low IQ to think that we are going to have a raging bull market if NASDAQ keeps going down like this every day for the next couple of weeks. We're not. That would mean a bear market. And certainly if it went down like this every day for a few weeks, it would be a bear market for stocks, which would be a bear market for crypto. On the other hand, if this is just the bad numbers coming in from some of the tech stocks today, which it is, if it's just a little bit of anxiety around what's going on with Ukraine and things, I think it's more the tech stock earnings and things which weren't very good, but that could increase the chances of Jerome reducing the rates. I think Jerome talks at some event or other next week. Jackson something it's called. I hear, as I've said here again, I hear all sorts of conflicting. Most people seem convinced that he's going to reduce the rates. I hope so. Polymarket puts it at 80%, so hopefully. Some people say the odds are 80%, so it's definite. No. It means there's this 20% chance it's not going to, you fools. It is going to make a big difference. And it's going to make a big difference because it's a signaling to the big boys who've got the money to put into crypto already. The big boys don't need Jerome to reduce the rates to be able to afford to buy PulseChain. But they're waiting for the signaling that they should do so because people are going to be coming in with more money and buying their bags. So they don't want to. They can afford to, but they don't want to unless they see the signaling. And the signaling is QE and the signaling is reduced rates. So that's why it is important. And it isn't just, it is symbolic in a good way. And so, you know, it's going to be very, very significant what happens. But in terms of the playbook, because I've heard quite a lot of crypto bros saying that and they're still saying it, they plan to sell no matter what. That's what's going to get you. The market is like the cruelest person you've ever met. It's like the crypto market, if it had a personality, it's like Hannibal Lecter, okay? It's not nice. It wants you to cry. It wants as many people to cry as possible. It wants to wreck as many people as possible. Of course it's comforting. Of course it makes sense. If you did well at school, you probably think, I know. It's always topped at this sort of point in the last 2 cycles. Therefore, it's going to do it again. And therefore, all I'm going to do, I know, I'm just going to sell and, you know, I'm going to get within 90%. You're not. It's possible now that we go sideways for a couple of months. I think, and this is the weird thing about this crypto market, in the last bull market, and even more so in the one before, when you were tuning in at this point, because I think this point we're still, Ethereum's not even at all-time high, guys. So, you know, Ethereum's not even at all-time high yet. And we showed that it was, I think it was 6 months from all-time high of Ethereum in the last cycle, getting to its all-time high from the prior cycle, I should say, to the new all-time high, something like that. 4 to 7 months. I think it was 6 or 7 months. I think it was longer than I thought. So we're still, on that basis, we're still 4 to 7 months away from the top. In the last bull market, at this point in the last bull market, and even more so in the one before, when retail come in, they come in to watch the crypto YouTube channels. And they find people saying, oh, buy the dip. Wow, what an opportunity. Buy the dip. Oh, lovely correction. This is what all the big channels should be saying today. They should be saying, oh, wow, NASDAQ's down, which is why we're down. Well, all the big channels like Coin Bureau and Ivan on Tech and Elio Trades and Altcoin Daily, what they should all be saying is, great news, crypto bros. Great news if you're coming into crypto now. You've got a chance that you've got an entry. Great. We know lots of retail are coming in. So all the big channels should be saying, hey, great news, guys. You've got an entry. We still think that Ethereum's going to 20,000. We still think that Bitcoin's going to at least 150,000. We've had a pullback because of NASDAQ. It's because of these numbers. It's temporary because we know that everyone thinks the rates are coming down. We know that if the rates don't come down, we're going to have a new Fed chair soon anyway, yada, yada. So it's an entry, it's an opportunity, but none of them are saying that. Retail tune in and all they're hearing is, oh, do you think the cycle's in? I don't think it is, but what do you think? And also, they're talking about how they think the cycle's going to top between next month or November. Well, that doesn't give retail time to get excited, and it doesn't give retail time to tell all their friends to get in. So this is the big weirdness in this cycle, that when retail come in, all they're hearing is very wealthy and slightly anxious crypto bros who have YouTube channels, wrestling with whether or not they think the top's in. The top's not in. NASDAQ's had a bad day. We correlate to NASDAQ very strongly. And so it's really, really crazy that they will just go on and on and on about crypto without mentioning that we are really just a small cog in a bigger wheel. Hex and PulseChain look really strong. This is another thing. I mean, anxiety is interesting because there are some things in life that you should be anxious about, perhaps, and there's some things you shouldn't be anxious about. And I'm going to tell you something you definitely shouldn't be anxious about now. If you're invested in Hex and PulseChain, you shouldn't be anxious that there are better cryptos to be invested in at the moment, because I don't think there are. You shouldn't be anxious about the prospect of Hex and PulseChain, assuming the bull market continues and assuming, all that. Then I am certain that PulseChain will outperform almost all cryptos, and we're seeing it. We are. I think Hex is like the second biggest bubble on the month. Last time I looked, we were the greenest cryptos in the whole world. Most of the last 3 days, we've been the greenest cryptos, which means that when we do come out of this slump, whenever that is, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next month, you can assume that we will take up that position again because of the marketing, which is just going to ramp and ramp, because of the money that's coming over on the bridges, because we're getting more bridges, because we're getting more attention. It does amaze me, guys. I yesterday I did actually think, wow, this is really weird now. Because we were pretty much the only green bubbles in a sea of red yesterday or the day before. So I posted on X, hey guys, has anyone seen any big channels mentioning that we're green? And I thought there must be a couple of channels mentioning it. And apparently not, which really amazes me that we could have this level of effective gatekeeping, whether it's conscious or subconscious, it's gatekeeping from the big channels. How can they not mention us? How can they not mention us? Now, I think what's going to happen is we need one big channel to start talking about us in a positive way. And then I think that's going to be what bursts the dam. I think that these big channels are all very conformist. They don't want to row out as the only channel saying nice things about PulseChain. But when one of them does, whether it's Ivan starts really getting behind us, whether it's Crypto Banter, I could see it being Crypto Banter actually, because those guys are very sharp. Those guys are very sharp and very quick to ride whatever wave they think they can surf best on. If that's crappy meme coins, they will surf that wave, baby. They'll be the first on that wave, and they'll be the last to get off that wave. If it's AI bots, they'll surf that wave. If it's pump fun, they surf that wave. They will surf anything. They don't care. They don't care. And a lot of people will be like that. But we need someone to sort of break ranks and say, well, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the fact that Hex is the only green bubble. I haven't heard any of the big channels talking about the marketing plans. So that I can't see that lasting much longer. And I think that we're going to go from nobody talking about us to everyone talking about us in the space of about a week. I think that it's only the fact that nobody's talking about us that stops anybody talking about us. But once one of them starts talking about us, I think they'll all start talking about us. I mean, some maybe not, but. So we have a very, very unnatural situation in this cycle, which is one of the things that's going to make this cycle behave differently to all the other cycles. And the thing that's going to make, I think the cat wants to come in. I'm just going to let the cat in, guys. Okay. Particularly, haven't even got a super chat. I'm going to prioritize the cat. Stay with us, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I think that something that's really weird about this cycle is that when retail are coming in to watch the channels, they are hearing people saying they're sure that the cycle's going to be over soon. They didn't have that in the last cycle, and they didn't have that in the one before. And so I think that's going to deter a lot of people from buying, from coming in. So I think what's going to happen, the only thing that can kill this narrative, that's effectively like, it's a complete party pooper, isn't it? You know, it's like having your mum and dad with you on your first date or something. It's a real spoiler. It's hard to get euphoric as retail if you're going to tune into, you know, the world's biggest crypto YouTube channel by subscriber count, which is Coin Bureau, for them to just sit there smugly and say they don't think the cycle's over, but it's definitely going to be over between September and November. 100% definitely going to be over then. You think, oh, well, I'm very late to the party. And I hardly hear anyone say buy the dip. Hardly hear anyone. I was watching DIY Investing today. He's very good. He's been on this show a couple of times. He's very good. He's like, buy the dip. This is it. This is the last dip before Ethereum goes to 7,000. We know this isn't something specific to crypto. We know it's just NASDAQ. We can see it up here. NASDAQ had a really bad day. When NASDAQ has a really bad day, we have a really bad day. It's that simple, guys. So I think that what's going to happen is that we may even go sideways now. We may go all the way back down to 100K. We may range between 100, 105K between now and November even. We have to get past this period that all the big channels are telling us we have to top by. Once we get past it, and then the market makers start moving us as we're nearer to a better Fed chair as we go into next year and things. I think then people go, oh, this cycle is different. Because it's so funny how people talk about the rear view mirror in terms of previous cycles and things without mentioning at all that we had the complete opposite of what we expected in Q1. And that's a very, very big deal, because if you have a red quarter in Q1 of this year instead of the green quarter, which we always have in the final year of bull markets previously, then obviously that puts us in a completely different place along the tube, doesn't it? Along the pipe. You know, the end of the pipe being Monaco, the end of the pipe being pay off your mortgage, whatever your Monaco is. We're at a completely different point because we've been held back for 3 months. So I find that Crypto Mike says, "What's up with this dip?" Well, it's NASDAQ, and I don't know why all the big channels don't have NASDAQ on the screen as they start their stream. Why they don't go straight to it? You know, it's nothing else. If Ethereum goes to within $100 of its prior all-time high and then doesn't break it, that would be the weirdest thing ever in history. The weirdest thing ever in history. If BlackRock were buying $500 million worth of Ethereum a day last week and they just made the top, that would be the weirdest thing in history. The weirdest thing in history. If all these big companies are putting Ethereum on their balance sheets and setting up treasury reserves for Ethereum, and we now have Ethereum ETFs which are being used, and that was the top, and we didn't quite even get to the Ethereum top of the last cycle, which when you factor Ethereum is probably something like when you factor inflation is probably something like $6,000. We're miles off. It would be the weirdest thing in history. If Ethereum can't get to its all-time high when we know that the stablecoin legislation directly benefits Ethereum more than any other blockchain. Them's the rules, guys. That would be the weirdest thing in history. But we know it's because of NASDAQ, and we can see it up on here on screen. But it is funny because the big channels, because they get so much money in referral links, and because they get so much money in ad revenue, and their affiliations with third-party trading bots is the other thing they're all making a big wage on now. Used to be Binance referrals was the main one, but now they've got these third-party trading bots, which cut them a lovely slice of the action every time somebody signs up to the trading bot through their channel, including my friend Ivan. Shout out to Ivan. But they're making a fortune. You know, they're making a fortune out of it. So they've gone, okay, I'm going to cash out a load. So what the next few months is going to do is it's going to force a lot of people to sell. It's going to force a lot of people to sell. And it's going to force you either to sell, in which case you're selling way too early, or to hang around and see whether this bull market has got more life left in it. So either way, it's not going to be easy for anyone because we're not at prices that anyone wants to sell at. We haven't really had an altcoin season yet. We had a meme coin season, which turned out was exactly what I thought at the time, which was that it wasn't retail coming in and buying meme coins. It was us going, okay, well, we're bored, aren't we? We're bored waiting for retail. So if we all just put our money into meme coins, if the rich hexicans just buy certain meme coins that Somi shills, they'll go up a lot, won't they? Well, of course, yes, they will, and we'll all feel like we're getting somewhere, and and it'll entertain us through 2024. But it wasn't an altcoin season. So, but this cycle has been very different, and one of the things that's been very different about this cycle is that we tend to have some pumps, but they're short. And then that's it. We fizzle out very quickly, and so we're not having any of the. I heard Ivan talking about this morning. We're not having any sort of moon events where we pretty much just go up loads every day for about 2 or 3 weeks. We haven't had that at all, and it's that shortens the cycle duration. It's the fact that we have some nice pumps, but then we sort of consolidate for a month or something that is just extending the cycle, because cycles don't end with everyone spending most of their show talking about when they think the cycle's in and debating with their co-host. Do you think the cycle's in? I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. What do you think? Oh, I don't think it is. Well, I'm a bit worried. Cat wants to come in. Sorry, guys. So that's a big difference with this cycle this time, guys, is that at this point in 2021 and at this point in 2017, retail, when they came in, and they all come in through YouTube, they don't come in through X, they come in through YouTube. And they when they go on to crypto channels, they're met with some level of euphoria, some level of excitement and encouragement that this is a dip, that they should be buying. Not, oh, do you think the cycle's over, guys? And so, and a lot of it is because most of the channels have got that PTSD. They don't want that T-shirt, as Crypto 7 says. I made the top in 21 and I made the top in 25. You know, I round tripped in 25 as well. So they don't want that. Understandably, nobody does. It turns out the market knows that. Of course it does. So the market knows that our biggest fear is we don't want to round trip. So it's going to force you to either get out way too early. In the case of PulseChain, we haven't even started. But we're seeing signs. I did catch a bit at the Hex conference earlier, and you know, and I'm not actually. And no, this wasn't meant as a criticism of the, but immediately you see somebody was talking to RH Max, and this person was like, "Oh, what makes you still have belief, and what makes you keep going? Because it has been a long week and things." And RH Max was saying, "Well, it's my personality and things. I don't give up easy." And I thought, yeah, great, but mention also, there are some things we can now start to see. We can see that Hex is the biggest bubble on the month, or second biggest. You know, who cares? If it's in the top 10, that's still amazing. It's the biggest bubble of the last month, okay? The one that is the biggest bubble cheated by burning half their supply, I think. So it's the biggest bubble of the month. So what RH Max, and again, this isn't a criticism of RH Max, I'm just saying, what he should have been saying is, but by the way, you know, this is what can make us feel confident going forward. Because we can feel confident going forward now, because we do know that the founder is going to be spending millions on free electronic gifts. We do now know that there's multiple container ships. We do now know that we are performing very, very well against other cryptos. I talk about, and I'm expanding this concept because I think it's a brilliant metaphor. So if you imagine that every crypto is like a rider in the Tour de France. Now, the name of the game is to time when you come out the peloton, because when you're in the peloton, it's 30% easier to cycle than when you're outside the peloton. So the name of the game is to time the exit. Typically, going out the peloton late does pay, but the problem is you can come up across too many people who had the same idea. You hit traffic, you don't get anywhere. You find yourself in almost like another mini peloton of people trying to get out the peloton. Also, conditions and things, you might find that you could have gone earlier, and you get a head start, and then you can protect your lead and things. So the racecraft is to know when to come out the peloton. And if you are uncomfortably invested in PulseChain, if you put your kid's inheritance into the sacrifice or something, you're watching Richard Hart and he's still at the back of the peloton. He's starting to move through the peloton a little bit, but we're still in the peloton. I think we're in the peloton until we go to at least SAC prices for both cryptos. So we're still in the peloton. We're starting to move a little bit from the back of the peloton. We're not out. We're not behind the peloton. That would be a disaster. Yeah, but we're in the peloton. But of course, if the race was to end now because the bull market ends, then we're stuffed because we didn't make our move. If the bull market ends now, well, Solana did well by getting out the peloton early because it got all the way up from $8 to $292. And the race is over, so people made money in Solana. Same with Sui. If the race is over if the bull market's over now because Nasdaq's down 2% tomorrow, 5% the next day, 5% the day after, you know, then Richard has mistimed his exit from the peloton. But in the last tweet, which he did before the PulseChain conference, which I read out, and at that point he reposted, and we had 10,000 live viewers at the PulseChain conference. In it, he says, "Don't be shaken out." So I think he knew this was coming. He said, "Don't be shaken out. Don't sell your precious coins to Wall Street." And so that's, of course, the message now, isn't it, guys? Just checking for super chats. That's the message now, isn't it? Don't And it seems like a perfect message from Richard Hart. And I've been thinking about this. Hi, Keithy. Keithy's the last in the house. I've been thinking about this Peloton thing. Because riding in the Tour de France is big bucks. I asked ChatGPT. Apparently, the top 20% of the riders earn millions in sponsorship and prize money. And even the guys at the back of the Tour de France are on between 200,000 to 400,000 a year, which isn't bad, is it? I'd settle for $200,000 to $400,000 a year to have a gentle little ride around the south of France on a bicycle. It's not motorcycle racing, is it, guys? 70 people watching now. Smash the likes. And this is where I'm going with this metaphor, and you're going to love it. And then you're going to go, why wasn't I subscribed to this surprisingly good-looking middle-aged Englishman before? So I'm figuring, right, the Tour de France is big bucks. And a lot of money goes into sponsoring the teams and the riders. So if you're watching the Tour de France as one of these sponsor companies, and you're looking at your riders at the back of the peloton, and there's only a short amount of the race left to go, you're going to be anxious. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be thinking, I've given this guy millions. He's still in the fucking peloton. When's he going to get out the peloton? There's not much more of the race to go. And I'm thinking that's exactly like us lot, who uncomfortably invested into PLS in the sacrifice and PLSX. And we're watching Richard toodling along on his bicycle at the back of the peloton. And we're going, fuck's sake, Richard. This could all be over soon. Coin Bureau says it's definitely over from next month to November. Definitely. Take it to the bank. It's definitely over, they say. And it's not just him. It's the other smug guy. Who's the other guy? Benjamin Cowan. I mean, he's so smug, it's unbelievable. You should all have just bought Bitcoin. I told you all to just buy Bitcoin. We've gone up a lot, and you've got to start taking profit. We're up from 15 to 124. You should be rich like me, living in Dubai. You should have cashed out loads. It's all going to be over soon. And so I think it's the perfect metaphor. Hex and PulseChain are still in the peloton. And we're thinking, Jesus Christ, please get out the peloton and make us some money. But if this cycle is going on longer than everyone thinks, and everyone is always wrong, and that's why I can tell it's definitely not going to be over soon. The only other possibility is it's over even sooner than anybody thought, which would be right now. So you've either the cycle ends right now, because that's not in Coin Bureau's magical range. If it's definitely over between the 1st of September and bloody November, definitely, 100%. So it's not going to be. Definitely not going to be in that range. By the way, it suits them. Why are these big, super rich YouTubers banging on about how they think the cycle will be over soon? It's because they've cashed out a lot of money. And if the cycle ends soon, then they look clever. If the cycle ends soon, then we correct less as well. And they can start making money again, because we will soon be going back into another bull market. They can start redeploying. It's worth them doing the channel again. They can stop practicing their mono skiing in Dubai. They can start doing their streams again. So the shorter this bull market is, the lower the percentage drop will be. So if you imagine that if the bull market has just ended, it's possible, okay? If the bull market's just ended, we're not going all the way back to $900, which was the bear market low. So we're going somewhere between 4,000 and 900, probably about 2,000. So we're not dropping very much. which means if you've got $10,000 in Ethereum right now, probably in the bear market, if we're going into a bear market now, it probably will stop at about 4 or 5. That's not too bad, is it? That's not too bad. If, however, Ethereum goes to 60,000, all these altcoins go absolutely crazy, then you're looking at a big percentage drop. This is the thing about Hex and how it was measured from its all-time high to its low. And we go, oh, it's down 98%. Well, yeah, but it went up 1,000,000%. Went up 1,000,000% from its all-time low. Yeah. The Corey React says, love your channel, Seven. Much success to you. Cheers. Thank you very much. So this cycle is very, very different. And yet everyone wants to say it's going to be exactly the same. This cycle was the only cycle that had a green Q1 in the final year of the bull market. A red Q1, sorry. All the others were green. All 3 months of the Q1s were green. This one, all 3 months red. Completely different then, isn't it? This one, the retailer arriving to hear discussion about whether or not they think the bull market's over. Hold me. I think the bull market might be over. But it's okay because I've already cashed out anyway. I think we've got a long way to run. Donald Trump's telling you all to buy Bitcoin. Donald Trump's just passed legislation requiring the pension companies to put Bitcoin on their things. They've got a fiduciary duty to do it now. And then if their employers buy Bitcoin, then they've got to match fund it and buy Bitcoin as well. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the only way we can get past this depressing narrative, oh, do you think the bull market's over, is to get past this period that it's supposed to be over by. And then everyone goes, it is different this time. Well, it is different this time. We saw Matty Orlin interview the billionaire Brock Pierce, and he said it's completely different being a rich crypto guy now. He said, I'm a rich crypto guy now. People want to put their arm around me. Whereas before they'd be checking they'd hidden the silver in case I stole it. He says it's a completely different approach. You know? It's absolutely, totally different. JJ's in the house. Northman. It is funny. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe nobody mentioned, none of the big channels mentioned. Did anyone hear any big channels mentioning Hex and PulseChain? That can't last much longer. Can't last much longer. And then when they do see the green candles, there's a narrative. And that's what people want. They want to be able to come into crypto, see a green bubble, do a bit of research, hear about the container ships, the unprecedented marketing from Richard Hart, and go, oh, I'm investing in Richard Hart because of the unprecedented marketing. I'm not FOMOing. I'm not chasing this massive green candle. I'm intelligently investing on a sensible risk cost basis analysis. Or whatever. yes. Yeah, so what do you do? I'm pretty sure the bull market's got a long way to play. I think though that we're going to have to get past this September to November that Coin Bureau says we're definitely topping in. Tells me we're definitely not, which means we either top now or much later. Has to be much later. Yep. And that's where we are, really. It's phenomenal, really, that PulseChain's around the 50% of SAC price still, despite how much Ethereum's been down lately, despite the amount of FUD and things. So when we pick up, I would expect an explosive move. People should be telling you to buy. I'm telling you to buy. It's incredible. And I did listen to a PulseChain streamer talking about an exit strategy. His video yesterday was an exit strategy in crypto. And he said, you've got to have your targets, and then you've got to religiously follow them. You got to work out what you'd be happy with in PulseChain, and then you've got to sell at those numbers regardless. Well, the problem is that if Hexicans had applied his exact Colin somebody he gets good view numbers. He seems like a nice guy. That's the persona he presents anyway. He's a lovely guy. Colin somebody, you know, seems like the kind of guy you'd let babysit your kids anyway. You're saying, right, this is the exit strategy. He has this funny way of talking. This is the exit strategy, which you've got to follow, yes? You've got to write down, everyone. Got to write down what it is you'd be happy with in PulseChain. And when you get to those numbers, you've got to sell. So you sell 20% and then you sell another 20% and you follow those numbers. Well, if the Hexicans had done that, if Hexologist and RG3 and all these other Hexicans in 2021 had gone, right, I'm going to have an exit strategy now. Well, you know what they'd have all done? They'd all written down, I'm going to sell the lot at a cent. They'd have all written down, and I'm definitely going to have sold the fucking lot at a cent. But it went to 56 cents. And they probably wouldn't have said that. They probably would have said, well, I'm going to start selling heavily at a tenth of a penny. And then I'll sell another 20% if we go to 2/10 of a penny, which is another 2x, of course. You know, and if we do a 2x on that, which is 4/10 of a penny, I'll sell another 50%. You know, they probably would have had nothing left to sell by the time we got to a cent. And let alone 10 cents and 20 cents and 40 cents. So I thought, that doesn't actually work. Particularly if you're going to take all the risk by investing into a crypto where the founder is on the Interpol's most wanted list, yeah? Which is a leverage play on a crypto which has only just started to wake up, which still isn't even at its all-time high, yeah? Which is Ethereum. If you're going to take all that risk and then say, now, what I'd like you to do, calling somebody or other, it was in his stream yesterday. He says, I quite like him, and I like as many Hex and PulseChain channels as possible. And I'm not, you know, go and subscribe to Colin. He has these nice, it's quite high, slick level of. It's not. He doesn't live stream. It's video, and it has a little clips and bits and bobs, you know, that you'd expect to see in something like Elio Trades. It's quite high production quality. But what he tells you to do in this video, watch it. He says, you Pulsicans have all got to decide what you'd be happy with, and then start aggressively selling as you reach those numbers. Whatever they were, you got to sell. Well, what happens if Ethereum's going to 20 grand? Do you sell all your PulseChain then? Because we know we're a leverage play. If Ethereum's going like that, do you sell all your PulseChain, or do you wait until the inevitable, which is that we all get Lambos in PulseChain? So I don't think that applies to a crypto. It can apply to Bitcoin. It could apply to Bitcoin because you could say, okay, we know that Bitcoin went to 15,000. We know the prior high was 69. We know it's a big market cap coin. So we should really have sold most by the time we get to 2x of the prior high or something. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Or if we can get a 10x in Bitcoin, we're doing pretty well, aren't we? Because it's a low volatility coin. If we can get 10x out of Bitcoin, we're doing pretty well. So we could write that down. But what do you write down with Hex on Ethereum? What do you write down for PulseChain? Yeah, and Academe8080 said this thing of not selling and borrowing, you know, with liquid loans or someone else is going to become very fashionable later, because nobody wants that discussion with the tax man. Nobody wants the discussion with the tax man. So how you avoid the discussion with the tax man is to yield farm, use borrowing protocols, all that good stuff. Well, I enjoyed streaming. We got up to some decent numbers in the end, and so that's cool. Yeah, like I say, flat out at the moment, Abby's got her first big event. See how it goes. Not putting any pressure on her. I'll just be happy as long as she gives it a good go. And yeah, we'll take it from there. It's yeah, so she's doing good. And of course, our number one rider is fully fit. He had a couple of seconds recently. So he's coming to Chepstow on form. So Richard Jones, our number one rider, is on form. Done some more merch and branding and things, so that'll roll out. And with from Wednesday to, I think I'm there for nearly a week or something. Flat out prepping on that already. So good stuff. Chat to you soon, guys. Hope that helped. Put a comment in. Look at all the comments, and I think you can, if you're on replay and you want to support the channel, I think you can even do a little post-channel super chat thing. I think you can make a little donation if you want to, or join the membership. It's very cheap. It's embarrassingly cheap. I need to do more streams. We've fallen out of the habit of it recently. So there is a membership. The other thing you can just do for me is hit like and subscribe on your way out. Good to see you, XRP Preacher. Chat to you all guys soon. Bye.